nation is not perfect, but it is strong. Our democracy is not invincible, but it is alive.
President Tinubu rules out one-party system for Nigeria, pledges deeper democracy as he awards honors on champions of democracy in Nigeria.
The truth of the matter is that you do not have two sunrises in one day. Even in Africa, the sun rises only once a day.
What do you say to the ghost of a dream deferred? Tonight, we remember the man who dared to believe. MKO Abiola.
We are going to redouble our efforts when we get back home to ensure that the vulnerable children everywhere in Nigeria are protected.
Also tonight, ILO renews grave warning on child labor epidemic as Nigeria vows action on scourge. Good evening and welcome to NTA Network News. I am Jumwa Yusuf. Tonight we'll be getting different perspectives on the state of our democracy as we mark Democracy Day 2025. Hingino John Adams will be bringing news from Lagos and that axis, while Benny Adams is on business news for tonight and Francisca Bille on sport. Do remember, you can watch this newscast live and on the go on any of our social media platforms displayed on the screen. And as we mark 26 years of uninterrupted democracy in Fourth Republic Nigeria, NTA wants you to lend your voice to the ongoing conversation on the state of our democracy. Now tell us, what one area deserves urgent attention? I am talking about that aspect of Nigeria's democracy that you think needs improvement the most. Is it increased citizen participation? Is it comprehensive electoral reforms? Do you believe stronger internal party democracy should take precedence, or you think it should be clearly defined by political ideologies? Let us know where you stand and scan the QR code soon to be displayed on your screen. As a matter of fact, we started this survey earlier today and intend to unveil the result later tonight. Let's know what you think. Now, we hear the current administration of President Bola Tinubu is pressing on with renewed efforts towards consolidating on the gains of the nation's democratic journey. The president said this in a special address to a joint session of the National Assembly on the occasion of commemorating the June 12, 1993 elections, largely believed to have been won by late Moshood Abiola. State House correspondent Musbau Dan Wahab tells us more.
For the second time in 7 months, President Bola Tinubu visited this other critical arm of government, the National Assembly. His second in command, Kashim Shettima, was on ground to receive him. On such a significant day of 26th year of uninterrupted democracy in Nigeria, the president chose another unprecedented way of celebrating the progress and development of the government of the people, with the institution making laws for the people. Past presiding officers of the National Assembly and serving state governors were also present to witness the growth of executive legislature unity.
We have celebrated Democracy Day.
And the presidential speech addressed various issues in the country as the president reported that various reforms instituted by his government are yielding positive results, with the economy bouncing back at 7% growth rate. He assured that agencies of government, including Nel Fund and Credit Corps, are working to improve the well-being of Nigerians, while others are striving to attain full sovereignty for the nation.
Our administration is fully committed to boosting the economy and productive base through investment in critical infrastructure, roads, expansion of port operations, rail, and power. We are creating a new environment in which industry and manufacturing can thrive. Our tax and fiscal policy reform will streamline taxes, administration, and eliminate burdensome or multiple taxes, enabling our industrialists and entrepreneurs to operate in a more conducive environment.
President Tinubu commended the role of the military and other agencies for ensuring national security as a foundation for peace and progress.
Our nation is not perfect, but it is strong. Our democracy is not invincible, but it is alive. And this means our dream of a prosperous, happy nation is still within reach and worth fighting for.
In strengthening democratic values, the President appreciated the cooperation of the National Assembly and promised never to silence critics or seek a one-party state.
I dare not such a favor to any political adversary by repeating the same mistake of political overreach. A one-party state is not in the oven, nor shall it ever be. That said, we would be guilty of political malpractice if we close our door on those from other parties who now seek to join the APC.
In recognition of those who struggled for the return of democracy, President Bola Tinubu conferred posthumous national honor of CFR on the late wife of MKO Abiola Kudirat, GCFR on Shehu Musa Eradua, and Lieutenant General Alani Akinriade retired got CON. He also bestowed GCON on a renowned playwright and political activist, Professor Wole Soyinka. The President also announced the awards of CFR on 7, CON on 34, and OON on 24 individuals who fought for democracy.
I shall also be exercising my prerogative of mercy, under the prerogative of mercy, to grant these national heroes a full pardon.
He decorated the presiding officers of the National Assembly with their earlier national honors. In Abuja, Musbah, then Wahab, NC News.
Democracy is not a gift. It is a trust Nigerians must protect. This is the affirmation from the leadership of the National Assembly at the June 12 special joint sitting, where the presiding officers pledged unwavering cooperation with the Tinubu administration to advance Nigeria's democracy and improve the welfare of Nigerians. National Assembly correspondent Mitere Ipen reports.
For 2 years now, the president is seen in Parliament more than once annually, not only for budget presentation ritual, but also in solidarity for Democracy Day and the nurturing of democratic values. For the leadership of the National Assembly, the hallowed chamber is home for President Tinubu, and this is indicative of a stronger bond between the two arms of government.
The lesson is very clear. Where governance is in partnership, progress follows. But where governance is a contest, the people suffer. Therefore, as we commemorate 26 years of uninterrupted democratic governance, we must renew our national commitment to foster collaboration between the different arms of government and ignore the critics who decide to turn the parliament rubber stamp. But they do not understand why we are here.
The lawmakers applaud the president's expressed aversion to Nigeria being a one-party state. Happy with the conferment of national honors on distinguished Nigerians, including living and late icons of the pro-democracy struggle, they equally commend ongoing economic reforms, as well as the president's support to legislators to improve the welfare of their constituents. Still, They ask for more from the president.
You have demonstrated remarkable resolve in removing the fuel subsidy and allowing the naira to float. Now we require an equally decisive intervention in our power sector. While progress is evident, it is time to wave your magic wand once more to break the cycle of underperformance by shifting from an over-reliance on thermal and hydroelectricity to a diversified energy mix. We must embrace renewable and clean energy sources, such as solar, wind, and even nuclear, to ensure a reliable and sustainable national grid. If anyone can do this, Mr. President, it is you.
The leadership of the National Assembly says it is on the same page with President Tinubu to foster collaboration among the arms of government to safeguard the nation's democracy. Resumption of plenary is slated for 24th June 2025. From the National Assembly, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
Still on the June 12th celebration, the progressive implementation of the renewed hope agenda of the Tinubu administration on the 26th anniversary of Nigeria's democracy in the Fourth Republic has been described as worthy of celebration. This was brought to the fore at a public lecture with the theme, Consolidating the Gains of Democracy, Necessity of Enduring Reforms, as part of activities marking the 2025 Democracy Day held at the Banquet Hall Presidential Villa. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
Honor and privilege to cherish forever, to unveil these beautiful books that will shed light on the activities of the present administration for generations to read and appreciate.
Efforts of the presidential media team added value to the public lecture as Vice President Kashim Shettima unveils 3 books, Tinubu Nomist, Leading with Courage, and Turning Challenges into Opportunities, all showcasing the scorecard of President Tinubu's leadership and service to posterity.
These 3 books present a comprehensive and compelling roundup of the first 2 years of the transformational leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. These books underscore the importance of documenting the narrative surrounding the work we do for the benefit of the people who have entrusted this administration with the responsibility of leadership and service for posterity.
Today, the road ahead requires commitment. Institutions must be built to survive transitions. Political actors must agree on basic rules. The press must remain independent. The courts must act without fear. And citizens must stay involved beyond election day.
Vice President Kashim Shettima, who represented President Tinubu, acknowledged the critical role of Nigerians in the democratic journey for the last 26 years.
And to every Nigerian, north or south, Muslim or Christian, urban or rural, I say to you, this democracy belongs to you. Guard it, deepen it, own it. Let us go forward, not as a divided people, but as one nation, bound in freedom, peace, and unity.
We dedicate ourselves to the ideals of nation building and the rule of law. I urge us to continue to support his president as he leads Nigeria with purpose and determination.
It was a day full of activities marking another milestone in democratic journey of Nigerian nation, and Samuel Egu, a professor of political science, as guest lecturer, spoke on the theme of the public lecture, with other stakeholders appreciating continuous journey to the nation building. From the State House, Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
And for more on the Democracy Day commemoration, let's join Faith Mwadishi, Executive Director, Center for Transparency Advocacy. She joins us tonight via Zoom. Thank you so much, Faith, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, Nigeria. Happy Democracy Day. Happy
Democracy Day. Okay, let's begin. I would like your thoughts on some what people consider the most critical elements of a democracy, whether it is free elections, rule of law, civil liberties, check and balances, and of course several other elements as well. How does democracy thrive when these elements reinforce each other, and how do their absence create a vacuum in a democracy like Nigeria's democracy?
So thank you very much, Jumai. All of the principles you have mentioned are all aspects of democracy that make citizens and countries strive to have democracy. And across Africa, across the world, people look up to say we are practicing democracy because of one, inclusiveness, which is at the center of it. That is engagement of the people and participation of the people in governance. It has to be through popular participation, because when you look at the processes that bring on the different structures or institutions that you have in the democratic system, for instance, the executive and the legislature, which is most important, the legislature is the center of engagement for people. So when you have all of that in place, you have freedom, you have justice, you have rule of law, you have participation, all of that happening. And when all of this is absent, really, you do not have a democracy. And I've also argued that the kind of democracy you see us practice in Africa should actually be a democracy that is side by side within the context of our country, within the African context itself, so that we can define the ultimate meaning of democracy, so that it can also be something that people, the ordinary people on the street, in the villages, can relate to it, to say, this is actually a democracy that we're practicing. But when you don't have the people participating, you don't have the people hold those in governance accountable, then there is a disjointed kind of democracy. But again, the democracy we have in Nigeria is democracy that all of us, citizens, those in power, should work together to ensure that we have a democracy that endures, that all of us benefit from going forward.
Okay, Faith, we say democracy is a work in progress in Nigeria, and I wonder how and what it would take, to inject new ideas into our democracy, an infusion of democratic practices in Nigeria. How can it impact governance structures and endanger quality in leadership and governance?
So one way that you can do that is to really engage the people and listen to the people. Most times it's not always about criticizing. Sometimes the best solutions come from criticizing and proffering solutions to issues. But when you proffer solutions and these solutions are not taken on board, you see yourself going around a circle. It is important that we engage the people. We need to have a dialogue. Yesterday, the House of Reps had a dialogue with citizens. That was beautiful. That is an element of democracy. But I wish that this kind of dialogue can happen more at the constituency level rather at the federal level, because the members of the National Assembly, for instance, represent people from their constituencies. So they should be able to bring on board the kind of solutions that are coming from the people at the constituency level to help us do all of these things we need to do to have an enduring democracy. So if we do that engagement, I keep insisting that including the people in policies, in lawmaking, bringing all of these solutions. This morning, if you listened very well to the speech of the president when he talked about issues around the opposition, sometimes that opposition can actually give you solutions to your problem. But you heard the Senate president say, no, forget about the opposition, don't think about them. No, we should actually bring on board all of the voices, because within these voices that are not on your table for discussion could be the point of solution that you need to move the government forward.
Okay, Faith, as always, I love your passion and love for this country, and you can just show as you speak. Thank you so much for coming on Network News tonight.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate your time. We'll take a break. When we return, there's so much more coming your way. Don't go away. You're watching NTA Network News. The Nigeria Governors Forum has congratulated all Nigerians on the commemoration of Democracy Day, describing the day as a watershed in the nation's history. In a statement by the forum's chairman and governor of Kwara State, Abdulrahman Abdul Razak, the Nigeria Governors Forum says in the last 26 years of unbroken democracy, The country witnessed appreciable progress in different areas of national life. The Governors Forum says it also commits to working with all stakeholders, including the federal government, civic organizations, and other partners to widen the democratic space and make the country more fertile for sustainable peace and inclusive prosperity. Now, 6 years ago, we teased the truth about the June 12, 1993 election in a report packaged by my producer, Nnamdi Odipo. Would like to share that package, which 6 years ago hinted at the enduring legacy of an election that just wouldn't die.
So much has changed in Lagos State since the year 1993. But sometimes when you listen closely, you could still possibly hear some of the ghosts of June 12. In the Alakpere Ketu axis of Lagos, a giant reminder stands. Towering 46 feet above ground level, this memorial statue depicts the persona of the man caught in the center of the June 12 story.
SDP, MKO, Kingibe, action! MKO, Kingibe, SDP, progress!
It may or may not have been the TV campaign ads, but for sure, Nigerians were clearly intrigued by the man, Moshood Kashimawo Olawale Abiola. The legend of MKO Abiola had spread far and wide prior to the June 12, 1993 presidential election. The streets were livelier, the people more eager. Electioneering campaigns had sparked a fire that mostly burnt out religious and ethnic preconceptions amongst Nigerian voters.
The amazing thing about it was so orderly, it was so free, visibly free, and the fairness was palpable. And we felt like heroes. Our country has done something right.
Indeed, June 12, 1993 started as a very good day. As the day progressed, it carried with it the spirit and hope of inclusiveness collectively expressed by millions of voters. The result of the June 12, 1993 presidential election was never completely released and never made official. But something which emerged from the voting pattern and was rather quite glaring was the confirmation that the voters' choice clearly went beyond ethnicity and religion.
My proud state of Kano, who had a candidate, but we felt that our candidate may not have been the best, and therefore will vote for another candidate. And that role played by Kano in delivering so many votes to the MKO Abiola is one of the positives we remember from that outcome.
It is true that the presidential election was generally seen to be free, fair, and peaceful. However, there was in fact a huge array of electoral practices virtually in all the states of the Federation.
The truth of the matter is that you do not have two sunrises in one day. Even in Africa, the sun rises only once a day. And that is the way it is. The people have made it very clear that that is what they want.
The sun did rise and set on June 12, and the accompanying darkness was frightening. The protagonist in our story was known to have said something quite profound at the time, and I quote, "Democracy came at a price, steep but totally worth the people having their say." End of quote. The June 12 story has several heroes, but one stands out. But there were many other characters at play.
In any event, there will always be the heroes and there will be the villains. But the good thing is for us to forgive and forget.
What it tells us is that history matters, that it does not matter how you act, history will take care of everything.
By sundown on June 12 and the break of dawn the next day, the story continued. The June 12 story is definitely one for posterity. In Abuja, Nnamdi Odipo, NTA News.
Thank you, Nnamdi Odipo, for that special report. A moment lost but regained with the renewed hope agenda. Meanwhile, the government and people of Osun State converged on the family compound of late Moshood Kashimawo Abiola to join the family in a special prayer for the repose of the soul of the martyr of democracy in the spirit of June 12 Democracy Day celebration. Lekan Angbodi reports.
Part of events to commemorate June 12 Democracy Day, the people of Ogun State gather at the MKO Abiola family residence in Abeokuta for these early morning Islamic prayers in honor of the sacrificial contributions of the late business mogul and patriotic hero of democracy, Moshood Kashimawo Olawale Abiola. Ogun State government delegation, led by the Deputy Governor Noimot Salako Oyedele, joined members of the Abiola family and Muslim leaders to offer prayers for the repose of the soul of not only of the late MKO Abiola, but also of those who sacrificed their lives for the entrenchment of democratic governance in Nigeria. The Deputy Governor reflected on the huge sacrifice the late Abiola and others made for democracy, as well as the efforts of government at all levels to immortalize his memory.
Despite several challenges, we have all stood firm. And I think this is a fantastic legacy for our father.
The federal government has been able to confer GCFR upon our father. Yes, that is a great step in the right direction. And it is our hope that the federal government can permanently sign a bill saying that future generations would not abolish Democracy Day in recognition of our father.
He is optimistic of the capacity of President Bola Tinubu to take steps further in honoring the memory of their late father. In Abeokuta, Lekon Agbonde, NTA News.
I apologize, that's Ogun State, Abeokuta. Borno State Governor Babagana Umara Zulum has granted state pardon to 66 custodian inmates at Maiduguri Maximum Security Custodian Center as part of activities marking Democracy Day. The governor also visited patients receiving treatment at Maiduguri Specialist Hospital and University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital, during which he gave 50,000 naira to each patient at the wards at the 2 health facilities he visited. Mohammed Goni reports.
The pardon granted to the 66 inmates at the Maiduguri Maximum Custodial Center was in accordance with the powers conferred on the governor under Section 212 of the Nigerian Constitution and the recommendations of the Advisory Committee on the Prerogative of Mercy.
Anybody who is willing to learn here will be given the opportunity to learn. We shall do the following. 1, provision of intensive literacy. Provision of intensive numeracy, both in English and Arabic. Provision of digital literacy. Vocational training.
The governor also donated 300 bags of rice, 50 jerrycans of cooking oil, and 5 cows, along with a cash gift of 20,000 to each of the 1,280 inmates to improve their living conditions. Governor Zulum urged the inmates to maintain good conduct and refrain from actions that could disrupt the peace and progress of the state. Controller of the Borno State Correctional Center, Ahmed Bawa, commended the governor for his continued support to the facility and its inmates. Meanwhile, Governor Babagana Umara Zulum paid early morning visits to the State Specialist Hospital to sympathize with patients and donated cash support to commemorate Nigeria's 2025 Democracy Day. The governor gave 50,000 cash to each patient in the gynecology, antenatal, postnatal, and gynae emergency ward at the specialist hospital. The governor also visited the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital, providing the same gesture to support the ill people meeting their medical bills. In Maiduguri, Mohammed Goni, NTA News.
Time now to pause here and join Hingino John Adams in our Lagos Network studio for more on NTA Network News. Hello, Hingino. Happy Democracy Day.
Thank you, Jumwe, and welcome to Lagos. Different interest groups and organizations have gathered earlier at various locations in Lagos to mark June 12, a historic day in Nigeria. Lanre Gbele went round the metropolis to capture the celebration.
Well, the usual hustle and bustle in Lagos State has gone down a notch. The shops, most of the shops are open, but there's a low business patronage, and that is understandable because it's a public holiday and people are in their homes. But the striking thing as I go around the metropolis is that each organization that decided to mark this year's Democracy Day marked it in its own unique way. While some are doing a peaceful protest around the metropolis about the harsh economic realities, some it's time to celebrate Democracy Day.
This panel of discussion, where political actors deliberated on issues around resilience, the present And the future of democratic dispensation in the country was organized by a faith-based establishment.
We all need to come out and participate. One way or the other, from your local level to the state to the federal level, we all need to come out and participate and at least act so that at least in the next future we can be talking about better Nigeria.
We have to be calculative in our haste. We have to be in a haste, but slowly, and with time we will get the desired result.
There was heavy security presence in all areas visited in the metropolis to deter any mischievous or unlawful activities. In Lagos, Lanre Bilayi, NTA News.
Still on Democracy Day, Nigeria's 26 years of unbroken democracy has been attributed to the sacrifices of late Chief MKO Abiola and the electorate who defied ethnic and religious differences to vote for good governance during the June 12, 1993 presidential election. Joel Pupola reports that beyond the yearly celebration, political analysts are urging government at all levels to deepen democratic principles and enact policies that promote human development.
June 12 is a significant day in the annals of Nigeria's political history as we shape the nation's political landscape, re-echoing the desire of the average Nigerian for masses-oriented government. Political analysts say one of the major lessons inherent in June 12 is the fact that the voice of the people cannot be silenced, as a consistent demand for the recognition of June 12 and the winner of the election eventually culminated into the formal recognition of June 12 as Democracy Day.
Now, what about him that is very significant is he refused to back down even unto death. If we have Nigerians like that, it will be a great Nigeria. You know, people who are really ready to lay down their lives for this country.
You don't care who is next to you in your trench or board your ship. He could have come from any tribe. It doesn't matter. You are one and the same. You treat him as your comrade.
The expectations of the electorate that came out en masse to cast their ballots in the 1993 presidential election are high, and many of the demands are still very relevant till date, and these respondents say should be addressed for Nigerians to enjoy the dividends of democracy.
So everybody that is involved should all come together, team together in one spirit of awakening.
We have gained many things after what happened at June 12. At least the democracy now come back to stand in Nigeria again.
As various activities to commemorate the day continues, having a credible electoral process that will lead to minimal litigation is a major consensus of stakeholders. In Lagos, Joel Pupola, NTA News.
That's it from Lagos. Time now for some messages. Network News will be back shortly.
You're welcome back. Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, has called on all stakeholders to speed up efforts towards ending child labor in all ramifications by strengthening our laws, supporting families, and investing in quality education for every child. This is in a message marking 2025 World Against Child Labor Day, with the theme, Let's Speed Up Efforts, End Child Labor, while urging Nigerians to raise their voice for millions of children whose dreams are stolen by the harsh reality of child labor. The First Lady says it is unacceptable that children are still forced to work instead of going to school, pursuing their dreams and learning how to grow into productive members of the society. Meanwhile, the International Labour Organization has raised fresh concerns over the alarming rate of child labor across the world after decades of global campaigns, as Nigeria government reiterates commitment to end the scourge. Ignatius Unko has details.
As the world continues to grapple with millions of children engaged in hazardous and exploitative work, the Director General of the International Labour Organization, Gilbert Humbo, speaking on the occasion of the 2025 World Day Against Child Labor at the 113th Conference of the ILO, observed that over 100 million children globally are still trapped in child labor, with sub-Saharan Africa accounting for the largest share.
Reflecting a shared urgency to advance
social justice in a rapidly changing world.
Nigeria's Minister of Labour and Employment, Muhammadu Maigaridin Gyadi, informed the global community that the federal government of Nigeria is cognizant of its role as a pathfinder country under Alliance 8.7, which remains a strong voice against child labour.
We are reviewing national legislation, building capacities of partners, strengthening institutions, and implementing community-based programs to rescue and rehabilitate vulnerable children.
While acknowledging a drop in child labor in some parts of the world, delegates to the 2025 ILO conference noted that the progress remains uneven and needs a more collaborative effort, especially in rural communities where children are frequently seen working on farms, in markets, and on construction sites.
We think that it is very interesting for everybody to come together so that we kick out child labor.
We also see cooperatives, producer organizations do community-based action.
We are going to redouble our effort when we get back home to ensure that the vulnerable children everywhere in Nigeria are protected. That you can take from us.
Advocates against child labor called for stronger social protection, better access to quality education, and decent employment opportunities for adults, as these measures will help keep children out of labor. From Geneva, Switzerland, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Mokwa flood disaster in Niger State has continued to raise concern of government and sub-governments to find lasting solution to the challenge. Latest is a team of World Bank officials alongside Agro-Climatic Resilience in Semi-Arid Landscape, AgriSel, who visited the scene of the flood disaster with a view to understanding the remote cause of the flood. Musa Mikhail has details of the visit.
The May 29 Mokwa flood disaster has raised several questions, particularly getting to its root cause and how to avert future occurrence. A team of experts from World Bank, Agro-Climatic Resilience in Semi-Arid Landscape, AgriSel, and Niger State government officials visited the disaster scene to analyze the sources of the flood and find permanent solutions. The team assessed devastation and reviewed the technical study conducted in 2024, among other appraisals.
What we have done is to assess the extent of the devastation, and our recommendation is to do a reassessment of the technical studies that have been carried out and then come up with a more holistic catchment management approach.
Beyond the initial plan, the design needs to take into account the resource of the problem such that we don't create a reoccurrence.
The state government is already committed to salvaging this situation.
The group also met with Etinupi, Yahya Walker and other community leaders to offer condolences and sensitize the people on proper waste disposal and management. Musa Mikhail, NTA News.
There's more after this break. Do stay with the Network News. Thanks for rejoining us. Let's join Francisca Bile for trending news in the world of sports. Francisca?
Thank you, Jumai. Welcome to Sports Update. Tonubok Okowa has been re-elected as the president of the Athletics Federation of Nigeria following the conclusion of the Federation's elective congress at the VIP lounge of the Moshood Abiola National Stadium in Abuja. Okowa, who was the sole candidate for the position of the president, pulled a total of 42 votes, with 4 votes counted as invalid. With his re-election, Okowa will oversee the Federation as president for the next 4 years.
Part of my charge to the elected executive committee is that they should open their doors and their windows and their eyes, their arms to everybody.
Every advice that we need to move this federation forward, we have the members to do it. And we are going to work together.
For me as an auditor of the board, I know that both personnel, materials, human resources, we will do our best to ensure that there's accountability.
To chess, students from 20 schools have showcased their potential to become future chess champions. The one-day competition held in Lagos and supported by the Nigerian Institute of Management alongside Dynamic Chess Val aimed to launch the search for emerging talent in chess. Among the participating schools, Home Science Association Secondary School claimed the championship title, placing Indian Language School in second place. In the junior category, Bethany Hall School took the top spot with 8 match points, leaving Chess in Slums Africa to finish in the second place.
Championship that we can boast of being one of our products, and so overall we have created a garden of future champions.
To football, the Super Falcons of Nigeria have retained their 36th position in the latest FIFA Women's World Ranking. The new ranking was released on FIFA's official website on Thursday. Under the guidance of Justin Madugu, the team continues to hold the top position in Africa, and the United States remains at the top of the global ranking. With that and sports update, it's back to Juma.
Thank you, Francesca. And now to our poll results based on the responses we gathered online. Here's how citizens are prioritizing the change we need in our democracy. There appears to be a clear mandate for transparent and credible elections, with 45.4% choosing comprehensive electoral reforms.